So now we have another speaker, Tobe Okeke. Did I say that correctly?
Yes, you did.
Yay! Okay, so I just want to introduce you. So Tobe is a Fortune 200 data science and analytics expert. She is the founder of Data Techcon. She's an MIT certified analytics expert. She's the chapter lead of Women in Data in LA. And she's the data subject matter expert at compTIA and trained more than 1,000 future analytic leaders. So without further delay, take it away.
All right.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. So I will go ahead and share my screen. So pretty much just let me know if you can see my screen. But as Emmy has said, I am Tobe, and I will be talking about how we leverage data analytics to increase user engagement and customer acquisition. But before I do that, I think it is proper to just give you like a formal introduction, though she talked about a little bit about me. So I am the founder of Data Techcon, and I currently work as a data science and analytics manager in Silicon Valley, where I lead the team that leverages data science and analytics to build analytics solutions and predictive model to help provide actionable insight that drive business growth. And that includes tracking user engagement and also acquisition and retention. So I have a technical background, but I know I heard people asking about if you had technical background or not. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. But I have a technical background, a master's in computer science and computer and information system, and a bachelor's degree in computer science. Overall, I have about 10 years experience in tech. However, I have 5 years plus in data. So I've worked in multiple domains, and pretty much just trying to let you guys know you can start at any point in your career and you can transition at any point if you feel the need to. All right, just a little bit about Data Techcon. Data Techcon is a training and consulting company located in Greater Los Angeles. And our mission is to promote data literacy by training future analytics leaders, especially people of color in underrepresented communities, to help bring the power of analytics and AI to every business to drive digital transformation. And our vision is to empower a community of analysts to build AI-powered analytics solutions for businesses. So in just a layman's term, we transform raw data like this into something like this using various BI tools, which include Tableau, Power BI, IBM Analytics Cloud, and a lot more. All right, so getting into the topic for today, I always like to start with great quotes, not just quotes, but reality. We're looking at statistics. So statistically speaking, according to McKinsey Global Institute, data-driven organizations are not only 23 times more likely to acquire customers, but they are also 6 times as likely to retain customers, 19 times more likely to be profitable. IBM, 62% of retailers report that the use of information and analytics is creating a competitive advantage for their organization. And the fifth insight, 1/3 of industry professionals highlight the right technologies for data collection and analysis are essential for a better understanding of customers. And I will be shedding more light on these statistics as we delve into the presentation. So now let's just go to the definition of what customer engagement and acquisition mean. So in a layman's term, a user engagement or customer's engagement measures whether users find value in a product or its service. So I'll give you a scenario. You have a website and pretty much you sell products and you're actually seeing a lot of visitors visiting your website. However, when it comes to the conversion, which is the purchases, the numbers are relatively small. It doesn't matter the size of the company at that point. That is where data and analytics can play a vital role to help drive or help find insights on the factors that are impacting the drop in the user engagement as they go down the funnel, right? So that's why there is a wide need for like analysts that are specialized in these areas to like help them drive growth. And the second one is the customer acquisition. So this is the process of bringing new customers or clients to your business. So when we talk about customer acquisition, we're going to see that in two different ways: the B2B and the B2C businesses. So for the B2B businesses, they don't just acquire customers outrightly from the website. They have them fill out a lead form, and that's where the information goes directly into like the CRM system. And in this demo, we can call Salesforce as one of the top CRM system. And once it goes there, the sales reps go there to contact them, and the lead to opportunity to close lost or close one. However, in the B2C, which is business to consumer, they can check out outrightly from the website, and you can start tracking how many people actually checked out, the total number of transactions, and it goes on and on. So majority in reality, the total number of users or visitors that visits a website or leverages a company's product, we can say Facebook, for instance. Facebook actually is the owner of Instagram. So every time, we all know from time to time, they roll out new product features. Like the most recent one is the Reels. So every time they roll out new product feature, they always want to track user engagement and also how people are being acquired using that new feature. So that is not just applicable to just your website, it is also applicable to the product, and mostly the software product, right? So all these Fortune 500 companies, like the social media, the streaming audio, like Netflix, Hulu, and all, this is a huge area for them. Like if you're skilled in these areas, like if you know how to like track and monitor and provide insight on these areas, trust me, I mean, I'm telling you from experience, because when I transitioned, I didn't have experience on that. My first job ever, it was like, I mean, I skyrocketed to like the next level, like in less than 1 year, because there's need for like people that are really experienced in these areas. And I think that's a lot of things, couple of things most companies or most training institutions don't touch base on. They teach like the overall data analytics. However, when it comes to the real world, we have different domains where you can specialize. And that is where you can leverage your domain expertise as your superpower. So I am also going to show you guys a couple of jobs or roles that require expertise in this area. So pretty much once the feature is rolled out or the website products are listed on the website, as a data scientist or a data analyst, you're expected to start tracking and monitoring how users are adapting to that new feature or the product itself, right? So before you can start tracking and monitoring, there are a couple of things you need to know. For you to be able to evaluate success, you need to create what we call the metrics. So you need to always create the metrics you want to use in evaluating success. And couple of metrics for user engagement are like the total number of users, active users, time spent on product, clicks, likes, and all that, click-through rates. And when it comes to customer acquisition, it's always the goal completion. So whatever the company's or the marketing goal is, it can be to purchase something outrightly, it can be to fill out a lead form, it can be to download a PDF file. That is going to fall under your goal completion. Then we have customer acquisition cost. We have total customers, which include the new customers and the returning customers. We always want to go for the new customers because the goal of the acquisition is always to drive new customers. Then also conversion rates, right? So, and that reminds me, just to like give you guys heads up, for those of you, I know we have different type of audience currently present. Some of you are in the field already. Some of you want to transition. Some of you are already looking for a job and all. So I remembered during an interview with Facebook, couple of things they expect, not just Facebook, like the fan company, they always want to ask questions regarding how you can drive user engagement and customer acquisition. For instance, you analyze the data and you notice a 15% drop in user engagement. How do you identify the root cause? So these are like real case study questions you have to be prepared for, and not just for interview, even when you start working for businesses, even as a consultant, those are the kind of problems businesses want to help, want to approach you for, to help them leverage data and analytics to drive growth. Hey, we noticed Q1 actually performed better in terms of sales. However, we want to increase sales by 20% in Q2. Can you create a data-driven strategy for us to increase customer acquisition? That is the goal of every business, no matter the business model. They can have the secondary goals, but the primary goal always remains the same, which is to drive customer acquisition, and that simply means to actually acquire customers. That's it. So that's the business, the primary goal for every business, no matter the business model. I work in healthcare. The goal is to drive customer acquisition, but in this case, we call them patients, or we call like healthcare insurance membership enrollment. So you can always tie this to whatever the industry or the domain you work with, just to be able to like get the use of it. Okay, so the next one, what analytics roles specialize in this area? So if you're applying for like marketing analytics manager, you have to be well-rounded, especially if you want to work with like the social media companies, the streaming audios like Netflix, the entertainments, the media. Folks have like literally like interviewed with all these companies, and pretty much they have the same centric. Uber, Lyft, they're all the same. They want to drive growth. They want to see why people are actually logging in or creating an account. Like in terms of Instagram, they want to know how many people are actually creating accounts on a daily basis. And of those numbers, how many are actually logging in on a daily basis to post content or engage with content other people create, right? So there's one thing to acquire customer, and there's another thing to retain them, and that's where retention comes in. So you digital marketing analytics, once the campaign goes live, they expect you to start tracking the total number of people that are clicking on the ads, the people that when they click on the ads and go to the website, what exactly are they doing on the website? So that's what we call the user behavior, what they're doing on the website, where they're coming in from, the marketing channel, the geographical region, the demographic and behavioral factors that are actually influencing the user behavior. So you're expected to know how to collect data, measure, analyze, and report on the insight. Web analytics, your core tool is going to be the Google Analytics, e-commerce data analyst. So any role that has to deal with customer acquisition, which in reality, all companies deal with customer acquisition, because that is every company's primary goal, to drive customers, to increase sales. So pretty much these are rules for those of you that are just getting started, or those of you that are looking into transitioning into different domains. You can, check these rules out and start seeing how you can actually help. All right, so couple of ways to boost engagement and acquisition by creating data-driven strategies. So every time, like in the fourth industrial revolution, the goal of every business is to drive growth, and the ways they are being done in this era is to create data-driven strategies, right? That is the only way you can win in this era of fourth industrial revolution. We have a lot of innovation, we have a lot of smart technology. The only way you can win, and it doesn't matter the size of your company. And I'm saying that because I have a small size company or businesses, and I have seen how data driven strategies can really help you like boost or increase sales like from 0 to like 100, trust me. Okay, so but it always starts, creating a data driven strategy always start with collecting data. That is the first step for every need. First, you have to collect data. And sometimes you, as a consultant, you might find companies that haven't even started collecting data. So that's where you come in to like teach them, or to like help them set up all the analytics tools that they need to start collecting data. For instance, one free or mostly used tool is Google Analytics. Once you have a website, that should be like one of the top tools you should integrate your website to to start collecting data, and it is not retroactive. So it start collecting data once you integrate that, not like backwards. So you have to start collecting data by integrating the tool. And once you start collecting data, then you can analyze, right? You cannot analyze something you don't have. So you have to collect data first. You analyze the data, the historic data, which is always like data in the past, just for you to be able to like come up with insight, identify trends and patterns, and also new growth opportunities. Then you can leverage predictive models to forecast future outcomes. Like in marketing, sometimes based on the historic trend, when I analyze the data, we see a lot of growth in terms of the total number of leads or the total number of transactions. However, like I said, most businesses, once they see growth, they want new opportunities, and they're like, hey, Toby, how about we increase the marketing budget by 20%? Can you create a predictive model to forecast what the outcomes are going to be in terms of leads? So those are the kind of things you'll be expecting, not just for your own company, even wherever you work at, or also as a consultant. These are the kind of things those small businesses or medium-sized businesses can always come. So I can talk really good on that because I've been opportunity to work in Fortune 500 startups, small and medium-sized companies. So they all have the same goals. They all have similar like trends, and all the only thing that is different is just the domain of the industry. And at the end of your analysis, then you can always apply the lessons learned to create marketing strategies that can help you boost engagement and acquisition, right? So that's how you learn. You collect data, you analyze, you predict, and you apply the lessons learned, which are going to be in terms of recommendations. And once you do that, you start tracking and monitoring. And trust me, you'll always see like an increase in either the engagement or acquisition. All right. So when it comes to the entire process of the data analytics, so it doesn't matter the domain or the industry you're working at or working for, the process is the same. First is to have a clear understanding of the business goal. Second is the data mining. So that's where the data extraction comes in. You want to identify the data sources, the databases that you need. And in this area, we have a lot of data sources, right? If you're analyzing marketing data, you're going to be able to extract data from like Google Ads, Facebook Ads, Google Analytics, Marketo. We have a lot. Similarly, if you're analyzing data in like hospitals or healthcare, we have the electronic health record system, we have the electronic medical record systems, and we have a lot of every other. It's applicable on every industry or domains, right? HR, you want to go to like the HR system, like the ADP. Those serves as the source of truth for a lot of information that you need to start analyzing, right? So you start with the data mining, which is in a layman's term, data collection. So you collect the data and you start data pre-processing. So this is where you cleanse your data, you transform it from maybe whatever source it is at that point to something else. You can apply feature engineering by literally creating columns that don't exist in your data, right? You can remove the duplicates, treat the missing values, identify outliers. So this is where the work is. That's why it's shaded yellow, because that's where we spend majority of the time. And once you're done, then you can start applying various statistical analysis to your data, depending on the type of data you're working on. And just to give you guys heads up, or just to like call that out, not every data analytics problems requires machine learning. Some of them can be answered with simple descriptive analytics. So you want to be sure of the business goal before you apply the type of analysis to the data. And this can also be tailored back to like the COVID-19. We all remember when it started, no one could create any machine learning model to predict the outcome until like they collected data for almost a year, right? So that's to tell you what they started doing was descriptive analytics. And that is just, we analyzing the historic trend, like, hey, how many cases were recorded, how many of those people have like maybe chronic conditions and all that. So historic data plays a huge role in every data analytics life cycle, right? So Just to give you heads up, just because you're being hired as a data scientist doesn't mean you're going to be building models like every day of your life. Sometimes it's just going to be like quarterly, monthly, except you are actually working as a machine learning engineer, or you are working in a consulting data science company, then you can be building models for different clients. So keep that at the back of your mind. Majority of the time you build models maybe monthly, quarterly, and you do a lot by evaluating in the models rather than building once it's done. And finally, is where the communication comes in. Like that's one great skills that is required in this field. A lot of people get carried away with the technical skills, but forgetting that at the end of the day, you have to communicate your insights to the people that are business oriented. They don't understand anything you've done in Python. They don't understand anything you've done in R. All they are expecting from you is to tell the story, like let them know the story. I analyzed this data from this time frame to this time frame. Out of 1,000 leads, 20% of them were generated from this channel, 20% came in from this country, stuff like that. So that is where PowerPoint is very, very, very useful. Majority of the time you present your finding in either a PowerPoint deck, or like Google Slides, or Google Docs, whatever works for you, but you're gonna present it as a layman to people that don't know anything about data. Okay, couple of challenges we face in data analytics when it comes to this area. And I know this is applicable to different areas because I've been opportune to work in different industries and different areas of data analytics. The volume of data, it is increasing like every second, especially when you find yourself working in social media, entertainment, or like the streaming audio industries. The data is like this, it grows. So that's where big data comes in. So that simply means every time the data keeps increasing, there's need for like new data storage tools. And that's where we have things like the Teradata, we have the Hadoop and all that stuff. So that means for we that are in the field, it's like you're going to continue learning how to use those new tools, and for you to be competitive with other applicants or other consultants in the field. Data silo. So this is where data is not being accessible because it's stored in different sources or different areas. And as a data scientist or a data analyst, the goal is to aggregate the data from disparate sources and build an analytic solution or model whereby everyone can be able to like access the data directly from the dashboard and interact with the data. Data qualities, yes, we know the data always come dirty. So that's why we spend so much time cleaning the data and applying data processing methods. The fourth one is the data analytics tools, not having the right tools for data extraction, transformation, and analysis. Yeah, so this is a huge factor, especially for small businesses. Small businesses, I've dealt with a lot of them from the consulting side. They always feel like just to apply data analytics, you have to spend so much money on tools. No, that's where consultants can help you or actually coach you on the kind of tools you can leverage that you don't even need to spend at least $50 to start collecting data. Tools like Google Analytics, it's free. It's by Google. It's like one of the top mostly used, Google Analytics and Adobe Analytics, but most companies uses Google Analytics because it's free. Adobe is expensive. Yeah, so that's mostly for like the big guys or the Fortune 500 companies. But sometimes when you find yourself in companies or like new organizations, they always have options. So they expect you to either be well-rounded with Google Analytics or Adobe Analytics. Similarly, that's how they ask you. It's either you have knowledge in Power BI or Tableau, Python, or R. So they try to be versatile with people because they know like new tools come out all the time. So pretty much the goal of remaining in this field and sustaining in this field is to continue learning and continue coming up with strategies of how you can help companies solve the challenges they have. Benefits. So we have a lot of great benefits. One, once you apply data analytics to your data, it's a way for you to transform the raw data into actionable insight. And this simply helps you to identify trends quickly, insight patterns, and also new growth opportunities within a glance and without scrolling through like 5 million rows or 1 million rows of Excel sheets. You can easily come up with insight just by drilling down in analytics dashboard. It drives growth. Yes, this I can tell you how much I have saved a lot of companies and also how much I have helped them acquire in terms of customer acquisition using data and analytics. So it doesn't matter the type of business, e-commerce, it can be normal service providing company or business, it can be e-commerce business, we can all drive growth if we have the right data we need for insights. And that is going to show us a lot of new opportunities in new areas to actually drive growth. Thirdly, it helps us eliminate data silo, and this is done by aggregating data. Like in my case, sometimes when I build an analytics dashboard, I am aggregating data from like 5 to 10 different sources, data coming from Salesforce, Google Analytics, Marketing Cloud, Google Ads, Facebook Ads. And at the end of the day, I build a data model to have the data talk to each other before creating an analytics dashboard, right? So that's where the analytics dashboard, we can leverage any BI tool. They'll mostly use a Tableau or Power BI. So some companies, they already have the tools they want to use. Some of them are relying on you as an analyst to provide them the best one or to provide like a simple SWOT analysis why they should invest in any of the tools. And the lastly, gain competitive edge. Like you see a lot of companies that actually started during COVID and how many of them have leveraged data analytics to like skyrocket. Like they have even outdone like the people that have been in existence for long. So that is how rewarding this area can be. And that is why you see like right now we have a lot of roles, a lot of open roles in data and analytics. And that is because they have seen the benefits and they want to like see more of the benefit. That's why they have people like me and you that are interested, are enthusiasts in this field to like help them drive success. All right, so a couple of data collection methods, and this is applicable to like every industry. We can collect data through API, Google Analytics, web scraping, questionnaires, and also surveys. Like I think the people that do like a lot of research, they use the questionnaires and surveys as well. All right, so before I delve into the case study I have, I just want to call out this couple of nice quotes by Steve Jobs, Jeff Bezos, and Steve Cannon. So Steve Jobs said, "Get closer than ever to your customers, so close that you tell them what they need well before they realize it themselves." And the only way you can get closer to your customers is by analyzing data. And before you analyze data, like I said before, you need to collect data, right? Jeff Bezos, we all know he's the founder of Amazon, and we know Amazon is customer-centric company, right? We see our customers are invited. We see customers as invited guests to a party, and we are the hosts. It's our job every day to make every important aspect of the customer experience a little bit better, right? The goal is to drive user engagement, which leads to increase in customer acquisition. But every time the customer is acquired, we want to retain the customer because we spend $0 to retain customer, but we can spend thousands of dollars to acquire the customer, right? So that is where your customer lifetime value calculation comes in. You want to acquire the customer once and you want to retain that customer. And the only way you can do that is by analyzing those customer journey, segmenting the customer, creating a lot of loyalty programs and all that. So that's where marketing analytics comes in as well. Then Steve Cannon said, customer experience better be at the top of your list when it comes to priorities in your organization. Customer experience is the new marketing. Yes, customer experience is the new marketing, and that's the way we can actually drive growth in businesses, right? We can have 1 million employees, 1,000, 2,000, 2 employees, if you are not targeting the right customers, or if you're not retaining the customers that you've had, then you are actually not growing as far as data analytics is concerned, because the goal is acquire and retain. So that way you don't spend money in acquiring new customers again. Rather, you start calculating your customer lifetime value. All right, so over to the case study. So we've worked with a lot of businesses, nonprofits, for profit, and all that. So in this scenario, I just want to give you guys, I just want to walk you guys through how we were able to like help an e-commerce store owner boost customer engagement and acquisition rates with data analytics. So the business challenge was the client launched new product on their website, but was faced with the challenge of high drop-off rate down the checkout funnel, which significantly impacted conversion rates, right? So in reality, I think a lot of you just know, once you add to cart, you check out, we all shop. Once you add to cart, you check out, and that's it. But when it comes to data analytics, we see something different at the back end. And I'm going to show you what it looks like in a couple of minutes. So the solution was, first, we audited the website using the existing web analytics tools. And in this context, it was Google Analytics. We collected the historic data, conducted a user and shopping cart behavior analysis. Yes, shopping cart behavior, it's significantly huge in e-commerce. So if you want to work in Amazon, you better know how to like analyze those things, which provided insight and trends and new growth opportunities. So based on the insight we found here, we actually created a data-driven strategy for the company, which resulted to a significant brand lift, 145% increase in click-through rates, which is the user engagement, and 59% increase in conversion rate. And this was within 6 months, right? So the earlier you understand the challenge your business is facing or the company you're working with, the better you can create a solution around it and start collecting and analyzing data. And once you do that, then that's where the recommendation comes in. That is where your strategy comes in. So strategy is just like you creating recommendation of the lessons learned out of the analysis you conducted. And by creating that strategy, you provide that to the company, and with the hope that it's going to help boost the results of the outcome, right? Majority of the time, when this is done perfectly, you always see a significant increase or an impact in the overall results. Okay, so in reality, this is how the e-commerce website funnel looks like. So the users start by adding to carts. The second funnel is adding the billing and shipping information. The third one is the payment. Then they have to review the order before they finally hit on submit, which actually results to a purchase. So this is where your customers lie. If your users are at this top of the funnel, they are not a customer yet. Until they get to the bottom of the funnel, then you can say these are your customers, right? But every time you have a funnel, as you go down the funnel, you always see an increase in the drop rate. And this is not just applicable to a website. If you have a website where you collect like lead forms, like for hospitals, I can just use a scenario that has to do with like healthcare enrollment. Every time you want to like apply for healthcare, a new healthcare insurance, once you start by maybe like typing in your zip code, and it gives you like different options. Then it asks you like personal informations, and it asks you for income. So those are what we call funnel. You don't just go from this to this. You have to climb the stairs, like the ladder downwards, right? So you start from this and it goes to this. So Good thing was the business already have Google Analytics set up, right? But they don't know how to use it. So that's another thing. Some people have it set up, but they don't know how much insight they can get to it. So we were able to like create a lot of insight out of this just to see where people are dropping off and also the type of strategies we can create for them. So here's an example of what we came up with from the shopping cart. So just by looking at this is about 17,000 users that actually added to carts, right? That means this company is doing great, or the marketing tactics is performing great by actually driving traffic to the website. And not just driving traffic to the website, it's kind of driving targeted traffic because this huge number of people actually added items to the cart, right? However, when we go down the funnel, which is all the way downwards, we have of this number, only 3,000 actually checked out, which is 18%. So in reality, even if you are the business owner, do you think you want to fold your arms and just let the customers just go? Remember, every time they click on a marketing campaign to come to your website, you get charged. That's why we call it pay per click, right? So it can either be through Google, Facebook, Instagram. So once they get to your website, your goal is to convert those prospective visitors or those prospective customers into um, customers, right? So that's where your conversion comes in. So looking at this, the conversion rate is only 18%, right? So in a real world, maybe you started working and they have this as the Q1 performance. Once you're hired in Q2, they expect you to come up with strategies on how to increase either from 18% to like 25%. So the first thing you always want to do is to collect the data. And you can only collect data when you understand or when you identify the tools that are really required to get the insights you need, right? So let's just go down the funnel. So of this number, 11,000 actually exceeded, right? So only 6,000 proceeded to the billing and shipping. And it goes down again, 1,000 left, 4,000 proceeded to payments, 1,000 left, 3,474 proceeded to review, and of this number, 93% proceeded to checkout. So in this case, as a data scientist or a data analyst, it doesn't matter what your title says, the goal is we all deal with data. The first thing you're going to be asked is how can they improve this conversion rate from 18%, even if it's to 20%, you need to create a strategy. And the way it works is we create strategies, or that I can say there is a strong correlation between sales and marketing, right? It doesn't matter if it's SEO, organic, whatever, digital marketing or traditional marketing. Marketing is like the key driver of sales, right? No matter what you're doing, even if it's organic, that means you have to consistently post articles that resonate with your audience, and it goes like that. If it's the ads, those are like the fastest way to drive sales, right? But eventually, personally, me creating strategy, you always start with the funnel that is closest to the final funnel, right? Because these ones have the high tendency of converting into customers because they already typed in their payment. So now you can also be asked, like, what do you think are the factors that impact this drop-off rate? Couple of factors that impact this drop-off rate. One is the UI. If the user interface is like maybe like really hard to navigate and all that stuff, then the user find it hard to like check out and leave. Secondly is shipping cost. If there's shipping costs whatsoever, personally, every time I see shipping costs, I just close it. I'm like, whatever, I'm not shopping for this. Like imagine you're trying to buy something of $1,000 and you're seeing shipping costs of like $100, $200, right? However, I can create strategies of how they can leverage email marketing without spending money on the paid advertisement to call back these people. And that's where majority of the time we see a lot of emails saying, hey, we noticed you added item to the cart. Kindly use this 10% coupon code to check out. So these are where your strategies comes in, right? But you always start with the funnels that are closest. So every time I want to create, for instance, I want to create an email marketing, I only target the people. So now segmentation comes in. We segment the customer in different areas. So this can be segment 1, 2, 3, 4, and it goes like that. So I start with the segment 4. I only send the email. So that's where we send personalized email. So only the visitors that are in this specific page, right? If you want to target the people here, you want to send a personalized email as well that only addresses like, hey, I know you added an item to the cart. You have 24 hours to check out. And that is not your job. That is you creating the strategy for the digital marketer to apply. But I have worked as a digital marketer before, so I know how it's done. And I have created all those stuff myself. So that's why I am sharing with you guys. So eventually created the strategy. And within 6 months, they saw a significant increase from 18% to about maybe 30 something percent. So those are the things you have been hired for, or those are the things businesses are consulting you for to help them drive growth. So when you hear drive growth or drive customer acquisition, it's literally saying increase sales. So it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't matter what the business model calls it. If you're working as a HR data analyst or data scientist, your customers are your employees. So you want to reduce attrition rates, the rate at which employees are leaving the company. That is your business model. If you're dealing with financial data analytics, then your job is to actually help eliminate wasteful budgets for like different departments. You know, they give like the IT, the marketing, and all that stuff. So those are how it can be applicable to every domain or every industry. So it doesn't matter what the domain is, the strategy or the process or the methodology is the same. It's just you having that domain expertise on how to create strategies that can really drive growth. So I am going to wrap this up with this insight, this quote that says, insight-driven businesses are growing at an average of 30% each year. By 2021, they are predicted to take $1.8 trillion annually from their less informed industry competitors. So this is me telling you guys, like, if you have a business or if you have an idea to start up a business, make sure data analytics is like one of the top processes you want to like actually implement for your business. And if you're working for companies, every company has data, right? But some companies don't know how to leverage that data to drive insight. And that is where you can come in. You can create a data-driven culture or structure for an industry. I remember my first role ever as a data analyst 6 years ago. It was a small size company, like 10 people, and all they were using was Excel, right? I needed to create like a PowerPoint or like a SWOT analysis on like why they need to either purchase Power BI or Tableau. And guess what? They bought it because they saw I did like a lot of demos. I can show you guys a couple of demos. I did like a lot of demos and they liked it. I mean, showing them how the data is represented in Excel and having just 5 seconds to talk to the CEO of a company and tell them how they are performing. There's no how you can do it in Excel rather than showing them how it's done in a dashboard, which I'm going to show you guys in a bit. And a couple of ways you can find me. I am pretty new to Twitter, so my Twitter is still empty. I just thought of including the account. So you can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Instagram. This is the business account. You can find me on LinkedIn. And this is the website and also my email. So let me see if I have like 1 to 2 seconds just to show you guys before the questions. And I will be available for the meet and greet or whatever it's called. I'm sorry if I mispronounce it. And also I will be showcasing vendors, right? So without further ado, I think the floor is open for questions.
Thank you for this talk. Does anyone have questions?
Yes, I have a question. You had touched on this a little bit, but I was wondering what part of the data analytics process do you believe people tend to struggle with, neglect, or not refine as much as they should during or most commonly affects the outcome within the
Right.
process? Mhm.
Okay, I can say based on like the train, because I train a lot of people, especially the ones with no technical background and no technical experience. Two areas. The first one is the data preprocessing area where you have to do like a lot of data transformation. And this falls back to not even understanding what the business goal is, right? So sometimes the question comes in, it can be really technical. You have to like sit down and think. And like I tell people, it's okay to walk away from your desk and come back again and let it sink, right? So once you understand the business goal, then you know the type of methods you want to apply on the data, right? So preprocessing takes the longest time, and that is where we do a lot of crunching. So start by applying some kind of descriptive statistics, identifying outliers. When there is missing values, I know a lot of people struggle, right? So teaching like the concept on how to apply, how to treat missing values, and also struggling with how to convert categorical variable to numeric variable. Because once it comes to machine learning, the only language the computer understand is binaries. So every time we have categorical variable, we have to convert it into numeric variable before you can even start building your model, right? And like I tell people, when it comes to the machine learning model, it's just like 10 lines of code, depending on the type of problems you're solving, either regression or classification problem. So you tend to do a lot in the data preprocessing area than the actual model building and evaluating process. And the second one is the calculation, right? In Power BI, we call it DAX, which is data analysis expression. In Tableau, we call it LOD, right? So like I said, three major key calculations that we leverage in analysis is always the sum, the average, and the percentage. So this is where you start applying things like year-over-year performance percentage, change last week, this week, and all that. So this is an example of an analytic solution that was built just by using raw data in Excel. So it's like a lot of calculation, and that is where people struggle with, because every time you leverage different tools, it has to deal with different functions, right? So it's like you're writing SQL, the function is different. You're using Power BI, the function is different. So that's where people struggle with not knowing. Some people don't even know how to calculate cumulative total. They don't know how to calculate percentage change. And I still get calls, like even when my student finished the program, when they start working, I mean, in terms of getting the job without no technical background, that's one great thing in analytics. It doesn't count. I get a lot of people with zero experience. After 3 months, they secure jobs and all that. However, some of them struggle like the first 2-3 months of on the job, and it's always with the calculation or the data cleansing method.
Thank you. As someone with little to no experience, it was really beneficial to hear that. And I just wanted to know as well if you offer info sessions by any chance.
Oh, yes, I do. I do that from time to time. So follow me on Instagram. I do like free webinars as well, just like introducing the field and also the different domains. Like as we speak right now, I got a text from someone that just got a job. He graduated in December, and he's struggling with calculating variance, which is just a simple calculation. But after like 3 months on the job, many of them catch up and they don't even call for like help again. And I check up with them just to see how they're catching up. Pretty much they share their work, and I think they're doing good. So it's all about starting at the job, because once you start at the job, you are limited to that industry's data, right? So there's no how you're not going to learn how the data works depending on the domain. And once you get the hold of that, you know the type of calculation you need to put on your data. For instance, you have a patient's admission dates, patient discharge dates, right? You don't have the duration of stay. Knowing that you can calculate the patient admission, the length of stay by subtracting the admission date from the discharge date from the admission date. That's how you get the length of stay, right? So those are things you don't really get like when it comes to like formal training or like true degree. It always comes with years of experience on the job.
Yeah, I still require some practice in the
Right,
field, but
right.
I'll definitely make sure to contact you. Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions?
I had a follow-up question to Victoria's question,
Okay.
and you had kind of touched on it a little bit in the beginning as well as while answering Victoria's questions. So for those that are considering moving into this field, what is some advice that you may give that also, in addition to kind of what you already said about those that may not have a lot of experience in
Okay.
the analytics field?
Okay, so the first thing I always say is when it comes to this field, the good thing about it is your domain or your background serves as your superpower, right? When it comes to data science and analytics, we don't have data of our own. We analyze data for different departments or industries or domains, right? So for instance, I don't have marketing background or sales background. I started analyzing marketing data, and that's how I got so much interested into that domain. And I went for like digital marketing training at MIT. I did a couple of training and I really loved the field or that domain. And I decided to start equipping myself in that domain like 3 years ago. And now, like, I don't think there's anything you're going to talk about in marketing that I would not be able to like give you in terms of the metrics, in terms of the calculations and all that. So like I tell people, I know once you're starting, it's hard to pick a domain because you're literally applying for like every type of data analytics job, and that's okay. However, once you're 2 years into the field, I strongly recommend you picking a domain. For instance, if you feel you have some type of financial background, healthcare background, and you want to stick with like analyzing healthcare data, then stick to healthcare. So that way you can only focus on learning things that has to do with healthcare data analytics. And that's the fastest way you can grow. If you keep switching from like financial data analyst role today, tomorrow, e-commerce tomorrow, it's like every time you switch, you are starting from the scratch. But once you pick a domain, every time you switch, one, your salary is like this, and two, you are actually becoming an expert in what you do. Right? So yes, like I said, 80% of our students have zero technical background or technical experience. And that's why during the training, we always try to leverage different industry data sets. I mean, at least the 5 major industries in data analytics, where they actually require a lot of data analysts or a lot of data scientists and where they pay good. The financial, healthcare, marketing and sales, retail, and HR. These are like the 5 major areas where you can get like really good pay and also you can have a lot of jobs to do, right? So there's always 2 routes to go about that. The self-learning route, which is always the longest because you don't have any guidance, any focus, or you attend a bootcamp training, which focuses on teaching you on the job skills. So at the end of the whole training, I mean, I've attended a lot in the past, but at the end of and I can tell you a million reasons how we are different from like a lot of the big guys out there. And you can go on the website and also read reviews and all that, right? So those are the 2 major ways. If you have no technical background, you want to start by either choosing the routes you want to go through. See that you want to learn on your own by going online, dubbing or like surfing the internet, trying to like get different videos and all, which can be very, very misleading and which might not be the best, especially for someone with no experience, because a lot of people posting videos online, Instagram, YouTube and all, many of them don't even work in the field. They just get like the random data and all. But once you go to like a boot camp training, they focus more on like the real industry problem. Like for instance, every time you go online, go to cargo.com, pull out a data, it's always in a flat file, which is an Excel sheet. However, in reality, you don't just get data in flat file. You have to write the SQL code to extract data from different tables. Then you have to create a data model to match them together.
And then my follow-up question to that too is kind of after you've done the specific skills, if you have any tips of things that you can either present about yourself when you're interviewing to kind of show your background of what you've done. My background is specifically higher ed. So I probably would stay in that realm. But if you, just in case you need that for context, but is there any suggestions you'd offer for like tips with interviewing and stuff?
Oh yeah, so yes, a lot of suggestion, and I can do that by clicking on this and just to show you what our graduate work. So it doesn't matter, not saying you have to like maybe come up come join our program or whatever. But I mean, however or whatever route you choose, make sure you are creating a portfolio. You don't want to just sit down and just keep watching what people do or whatever. Like this is an example of our previous student. They have to build the solution from start to finish, and they have to create what we call the executive summary reports, right? So every time you finish your analysis in real world, we always write a report, right? It's either you use the PowerPoint deck and all that. So this is just your dashboard. They still don't understand in a nutshell if there's gender. So this was me asking them to build a solution to answer the problem if there's gender equality or diversity in the company. So this is just the dashboard. I can go here, toggle back and forth. However, to answer the question, that is where the PowerPoint deck comes in. So you want to talk about the business goal, you talk about your approach, your methodology, and all those things is being covered like during the training, how to come up with the executive report. So that is one thing you want to show. And just like what you said, this guy that I told you guys just got a job. He said the first thing that drew the company to him was his PowerPoint deck because he linked it on LinkedIn, right? So the same thing with another girl. She got the job in February. She graduated in December. She had similar stuff. So she sends, when she sent her resume, she sends sample of her work. And that was how they called them in. So yes, don't underestimate your portfolio. And you're not going to send them a couple of codes. They don't understand what the code means. You want to send them what the user understand, which is this, like something like this, what they can see, like actually. So don't send them your Python code. They don't care about that. Just send them something they can read and actually understand what you're trying to do.
Awesome. Thank you.
No problem. Any other question?
I actually have another question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, as a freshman in college, I'm still trying to, learn more about the field. And you mentioned training. Could you include some more details about that, or how can I access it?
Oh yeah, you can access the training by going directly on the website, www.datatechcon.com. So it's done by cohorts, and pretty much we run it for 10 weeks, right? So within 10 weeks, we teach how to leverage various tools, which include Excel, SQL, Python, Power BI, Tableau, and a bonus, which is Google Analytics, to actually analyze data. And it is actually intense. So you want to go on the website, check people's reviews and see how they talk about how you need time for this training, because there is always a weekly mini project and also assignments. In the final capstone is like 3 different capstones or 3 different projects where you have to pick the industry. We have all the data you want and analyze and present your stuff. So it is an intense program. It's conducted every Saturday, 3 hours. And also each student have one-to-one for like 10 weeks during the week. So you have the link where you can pick whatever time works for you, where you can have the one-to-one session with your instructor, which I am the lead instructor. So you have a one-to-one session with me, ask me whatever question. It doesn't have to do with the assignment, just progress kind of questions and when you're due to start applying for jobs. And at the end, we help with revamping the resume with the newly acquired skills and also support, which is the most important part during the interview process. So every time the student have an interview, they schedule one-to-one, we go over the interview question, because trust me, every interview job description is different. So we tailor that interview prepping to that specific job description. And depending on once we see the job description, we know the domain and the industry, and we want to start talking about the tools that domain or that industry specifically uses. So you can find more information by going to datatechcon.com, click on training, and you're going to see a lot. And if you have any other questions, you can email me directly, Tobe@datatechcon.com.
That sounds great opportunity. And I just want to make sure the website is Datateccon.com.
Yes. So you click on the training part, because we have the consulting and training, and you can always see all the trainings and the details. And if you have more questions, just email directly.
Sounds good. Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions?
Well, Toby, thank you for this talk. This was very informative. And I feel like, a lot of people are going to come away with information that they can use. And I encourage them to come to your vendor booth after this. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you guys for having me. I will see you all later at the vendor booth.
All right, we'll see
Thank
you.
you,
Thank you,
Toby.
Toby.
All right. Bye-bye.